What I want to show everybody is that you don't need to be musically educated first to create a record. It's all about the state of mind, the idea that you have, that what do you want to achieve on the dance floor. Because as a DJ, you know what people want to hear, you know at what time the break should come, etc. You need to put that into the record in order to create a good track. So I first discovered recording music actually when I was just a teenager. I saved up some money to receive/buy my own hi-fi radio station. The first thing that was written on it is do not record from the radio. It's prohibited. So of course what did we do with some friends is record music tapes, cassettes. And we made our own mixtapes, and this quickly led to having friends over for dance off, and then having girls over to have some fun, and that led to having parties. And when I was, I think, 17 or 18, we had a huge party. People turned up, and who was going to be the DJ? That was us, of course, and that led to having, the vinyls, the CD players, everything. And in my parents' house there were always music on the background. They were separate, so I had this kind of style at my mom's house, this other kind of style at my dad's house, and it was a huge influence to just never not having music. And that's just transcended to me, and this DJing thing has been going on since I was a teenager. And of course, after that, the parties got successful. I became resident DJ at several places in my hometown. But people talk to me like, you also need to make music, to produce music. And this was already way into my DJ career that I discovered the fact that a DJ also needs a resume, and this is a release, a track, a single, you name it. And then one of the first tracks that really got a lot of attention was due to the fact that I went to Sardinia, the island of Italy, where I have family-in-law, and they gave me a DVD, a sample DVD with the tenores, with the vocals of the local singers. And I just was thinking about the fact that when you record tapes and cassettes and prohibited radio stations, you just do the same. You take the vocals, try to cut them up, and the old school way this record came about. This got a huge influence on me because it showed me that you can really easily, as a DJ, create an idea of music. The biggest investment I did, I would even say sacrifice, is time. That's really something you might not think of it, but time is the biggest investment. If you think about it, I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's only the past 2 to 3 years that I've reached a level that I think is good enough to go out into the world. That's the thing you have to think about. It's not a career that you can build up lightly. It might work for some people, but the downfall is also really serious then. And I read in Mix Mag many years ago an article about Simon Dunmore from Defected, and he was talking about you have two options. It's you have a career on the short term with a lot of risk, and you have a career on the long term. But if you think about it, it's a life's work. For me, music is part of my life until who knows. So this philosophy grew on me, and I said, okay, if we can do a life's work, then every step is important. And my story is important, Renaissance is important, People of the Night is important. Every track matters. And if you see it like this, you can really build on every step and be better every time, and maybe reach more people, reach more emotions. So time is the biggest investment because there is no limit on time. Initially, when people tell you to make music, you look at your friends. I had already quite some friends DJing and producing. Some of them were working with Reason, others were using Cubase. Way too complicated for me. I gave it a shot. I think I failed because I didn't understand. I felt quite stupid in the beginning. And we are talking about quite some time ago when computers were really like huge things that you had to assemble. And it's only in a later phase that I discovered Ableton on a Mac. And when I found out about Ableton, somebody told me, like, look, first lesson you need to know is if you can think of it, you can also do it in Ableton. So this is a really strange way of thinking of making music, but it's actually like this, that if you would take a clap and you say, I want to move it, drag it, and put it there on this other track, it's possible. So I learned that in Ableton you have practically no boundaries of the things you want to do. And this, again, comes back to the same state of mind. As a DJ, you really need to just do whatever you think is right for this track on the dance floor. It doesn't matter if it's not correct. It doesn't matter if you need to sample. If you can think of it, you just have to do it. And this is also something I want to tell the people that aspire to be producers or DJ or struggle or want to find out how to make it, is to first visualize the track first. You can write it, you can draw it, you can work on it on a sketch. It doesn't matter. It's about the idea, it's about the hook, the good, strong loop that you can really feel it, this is going to work on a dance floor. And then it's okay to find help. It's okay to talk about with other people, like, how should I do this? I also got lessons, I also got help. I talked to friends, I got to experiment with different softwares. At the end, to find that my own way comes back from when I was a teenager, playing with those cassettes, playing with those vinyls, is put my experience into the theory that you have to, develop ideas first in order to create this really cool track. Thing is, when you start with making music, you want to have a result really fast. I was like this too, for not so long ago. You get in the studio, you have an idea, you have the feeling that it's working out really well. As soon as the track is almost finished, you want to send it out. So what happens? You send it to people you know, and you send it to people you don't know. The risk that you take then is really crucial and is huge. I did it too, I did this, and it came back in my face. What I want to say is that if you send music, make sure you tested it, make sure you send it to people who give you honest feedback, and only when you're 100% sure, you send it to the people you want it to be listened to. Otherwise, if you send a track that is not finished, they will just judge on it as it is, and they will probably say it's not good enough, it's not what they are looking for, and you miss an opportunity. I can assure you, I also did this, and what happens is that people say, why are you sending me a track that is not finished? Why are you sending me music that I will not play? So now what I do is I first test it on my own gigs. If you're not able to play yet, send it to friends who do play. Send it to friends who have friends, and then assemble feedback. And again, we come back on this thing of time, this investment. It takes time, and that's the hard part. But I can really tell you that it's really worth it if you have witnesses of people dancing to it, or if you just see that the track doesn't work, it's fine. You will start a new one which will work. So I first got in touch with Armada I think a year ago. Of course, I knew Armada from way back. It's been an influence on everybody in the music industry. And I was searching for a home. And everything is linked in this story because I returned to the essence of music, was this cassette tapes, like don't record from the radio. And I put the track on my story, which was this famous expression that I had of my emotions and building up. And I went to Amsterdam Dance Event, and I went looking for somebody of Armada, and I went to ask a friend of a friend of a friend, who can I be introduced to? So I went to the Armada drink, found somebody, convinced him like, this is the tape. I'm showing with my presence that I'm giving you a tape with music, that I mean business. And you know, we stayed in touch. Not so long after that, I got my track Renaissance to be played by Solomon. And I sent another email saying, look, I'm the guy with the cassette. This track is being played by Solomon. And immediately I got reply from a lot of people within Armada. Look, we first need to talk. A second, we really want to sign this track. And by that time I had offers from different labels, big ones, less big ones. But my gut feeling said, like, I want to find a home where I can feel at home. And Armada became that place. So now we've been working together for a year, and I'm here to stay longer and work with Armada as a family. During my course, I'm explaining that I'm not musically schooled, which is perfectly fine. Maybe I could have wished that I learned piano or guitar or whatever. The thing is when you get in the studio, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can make music on different levels. You can sample, you can you know, just work with software that makes music for you. The main thing is that you have to develop your idea. And in this course, I'm showing how I learned that my, you know, mistakes can be turned around into something really cool. And that the fact that I was less strong in not making music became my strongest point, because I use techniques that others maybe don't use at first sight. If you look at the first sampling techniques of hip-hop, this is also what I'm doing. I'm taking little bits of pieces from software, from vinyl, and I'm turning it into my own. And in this course, you will see that it might be easier to work on an idea first, instead of making things complicated and wanting to make the best track ever.